Well, the day has arrived. We just got a trailer and a release page for the new episode, Whisper in the Dark, the start, really, of the Icebrood saga. Of course, we have already played the prologue, but the first full-fledged episode is about to come out. Now, if you guys are out of the loop, we actually already knew the title of this episode, and we knew the release date of it from Extra Life charity event that went on about a week or so ago by hitting a certain community goal that devs released that information. However, today, the full-fledged release page, juicy trailer, which has got a very dark tone and people are really enjoying it at the moment, as well as news about strike missions and stuff just came out. Turns out there's going to be 3 of them, and they have some more information too. So that's what this video is going to be. I'm going to jump in, show you guys what the devs have said and what I think that actually means for the future of the game. We'll also do a bit of a trailer analysis. Let's start off with the release page though, first of all. So here you can see it, Whisper in the Dark, episode 1 of the Icebrood saga. We're in a whole new section of the release pages here. They're pushing that promotion about POF and Heart of Thorns being free a lot on all their pages. They have another blog post I'm not going to show you here, but does that as well. And they say here, beginning November 19th, so not very far away, an urgent message from Almora's Soulkeeper summons you deeper into the far Shiver Peaks, where you and your allies must stand together against the storm. But the howling wind can make any light flicker, and the cold eats at every heart. In this desolation, the voice that rings truest is the one inside you. So they're really creepy in this trailer, and they seem to be doing a lot with mental manipulation, which, as we all remember, was kind of Morgemoth's thing. Now the Morgemoth's gone, maybe some of that domain, some of that magic Jormag feasted on, and we'll see what they do here. But you've also got the Norn Spirit of Raven seems to be a big thing this release. If you guys remember when they announced the Icebrood saga altogether a couple of months ago, they talked a lot of how episode 1 would have Raven stuff for its mastery, and I wonder in the trailer in a second if we're going to be listening to Raven speak to us. They also mentioned Almora here, who I actually think we should be a little bit worried about as a character on the chopping block, maybe. Almora's kind of whole arc, her whole story was to do with Kraukatoric, who's now defeated. And of course, in the prologue, we did see some character development for her. We saw that conflict with her and some of the other big characters were being introduced here. We know that she is, you know, the leader of the Vigil, and there's this big Vigil outpost in the far Shiver Peaks, and that she'll probably be center stage at the start of this release. But when we watch the trailer in a second, you're going to see things don't look good at that outpost, and I wonder if that means Almora herself is going to be a goner or something, whether the devs consider her arc done or not. I really like the character, so we'll see. Anyway, getting into the features before we look at the trailer. The new map is the Bureau Marches. This is a copy of a map from Guild Wars 1. I'm assuming that the Guild Wars 2 version is going to be bigger, but I might not be right with that assumption. Do remember that for Icebrood Saga, each episode will be a little bit more slender, and they're hoping to put more of them out. So, and they're going to be expanding maps as well. I think, didn't they say that episode 2 would expand on the episode 1 map instead of just adding a whole new one? So the section of Bureau Marches we get may actually just be literally the Guild Wars 1 environments. And I did stream and show this area off in Guild Wars 1 about a month ago. Maybe I'll produce a YouTube video for you guys who missed out on that to see it in full. And so we'll see how that's looking after 250 years. Always exciting to go back to a Guild Wars 1 location, even if this was a fairly minor one for Eye of the North. Any players who didn't play the original and now here in the sequel, don't worry, it's not like you're going to miss out on loads of stuff. A lonely land swept by blizzards and infested with creeping terrors. Jorah's Keep may be the only refuge from the storm, if it can stand. And, well, we're going to see Jorah's Keep in the trailer in a second, I'm pretty sure. Jorah, of course, being a big iconic character to Guild Wars 1's Eye of the North expansion. And, you know, at the start of this whole story with the Sons of Svanna, and very much related to all the stuff with the Ice Elder Dragon. We get this nice screenshot here. Showing some kind of environment, these little crystal like snowflakes as they fall. Looks completely frozen over, big winter tundra. I think, by the way, this will be the new most northern map once this gets added, probably, which is always nice for me. As a bit of a cartographer inside me, I always like to see when we get to go to the most south or the most east or the most west, and it's nice to see that expansion of the Guild Wars world. So then we get Raven attunement. I don't know what to expect for masteries going forwards this season, guys, because I haven't really been impressed by their masteries for a while now. I mean, with Path of Fire, they could tie them off with mounts a lot. But how much are we going to be getting that here in Icebrood Saga? It doesn't seem like there's much mount focus here. And, well, we're back to that Season 3 kind of mastery where it's just a bunch of stuff slopped together. They say, bond with swift and clever Raven, a spirit of the wild, and use his blessing to open locks, pass through gates, and shield yourself with his light. So, I mean, the idea of the mastery unlocking new areas to visit, I think works well, and those are my favorite kinds of masteries, especially if I look back at some of the Heart of Thorns stuff with the bouncing mushroom, unlocking new areas, or gliding, unlocking new areas, and mounts were similar. But I wonder why there's like shielding yourself added in there and passing through gates. Couldn't that be on a different one? We'll see. I mean, it's a bit much to judge just from one sentence. And we get an image of this shrine here. I think, didn't they say on the initial Icebrood Saga announcement stuff that, yeah, the new masteries you'd be communing with shrines specifically? Here we've got essence manipulation as another new mastery, so there's actually 2. Learn to collect the essences of resilience, valor, and vigilance, then target enemies' weakness and hit them where it hurts. It sounds like there's going to be like some kind of specific weakness of stuff as we go forwards, and maybe you'll have a special action and you have to choose the right one. Anyway, the associated image shows this badass new creature here. It looks like one of the spirits of the wild. It looks like Snow Leopard, right? But angry and sort of fighting against us? Or are we conjuring it? Anyway, he's red, and it looks like we're using blue to fight back against it. I don't know. Maybe there's something more going on there. We'll see when we get in. But the idea of having a double mastery, I definitely wasn't expecting. And I don't know why they did it either. Then we got this, which I think a lot of the endgame players will be a little bit excited about. Weekly rotating strike missions. So we had in the prologue a strike mission, very easy, and I thought the idea was they would keep expanding it and making it harder. Well, they seem to have a totally different tack here. Test your strength in 3 strike mission encounters against legendary Fallen, Aberrant, and Svarnir abominations. And in the trailer, we'll see a little bit more of these, so I'll come back to this in a second. But it sounds like there's going to be a hard rotation, a little bit like Fractals. Actually, Fractals have a rotation for what they recommend you to play and what dailies ask you for, but you can play any Fractal anytime. And Raids have a rotation, but it's like an incentive to play certain wings more than others. This sounds like Guild Wars 2's first example of a hard rotation, where you cannot play anything else until one boss rotates out and the next one rotates in. You might call that just lengthening the amount of time people have to keep logging in until they fully experience the full patch. But I guess we'll see. I suppose that guild missions, like the puzzles, is kind of a hard rotation as well. So maybe it's not the first example. Anyway, this picture we can see 2 Coden bosses. And it looks like one of the strike missions will be to defeat 2 bosses at once. Then a new weapon set. Upgradable and ancient boreal weapons. These will be in the trailer too. Restore the tarnished and time-worn armory to its former glory. So here in the screenshot we can see the scepter focus. It's always nice to see new weapon sets. They still seem to be following the thing where you either get a weapon set, multiple weapon sets, like as you restore stuff, or an armor set per patch. So that's nice. The prologue, of course, being a little bit different. And then we get just some other screenshots. So this one we already saw. This one here, we get to see a character wielding, I think, one of the new weapons. And possibly, is this Jorah's fort that they were talking about? Here we see again. What I quite like about this one is that building there doesn't look like any of the buildings I've seen in Guild Wars 2. New asset, new stuff. You know, the big walls in the background look kind of familiar, but there you go. Here we've got quite an oppressive, dark, cluttered forest, which I really want to see in the open world somewhere. One of my favorite bits of content in the whole game is the Snowblind fractal, where they have that pitch black forest. And I've always loved the idea of having that somewhere actually in overworld Tyria 2, but really vast and massive. And with the very dark tone we're about to see in the trailer, you'll see that that fits quite well, I think. Anyway, here, I think this is one of the strike mission bosses. This as well could be one of the strike mission bosses. We got a big wall here with the raven face on it. So I think this mastery would be one of the things. This is a wall we can pass through. I know it looks destructible, but I think we'll be just moving through that. It doesn't look like we'd use a key to unlock it. There you go. A locked off area. And here we've got like the Wendigo creature. The, what do they call this? The bone splitter? Damn. Some people have figured out the name of this already, and the devs have been talking about it a bit. This appeared in some concept art before, as Icebrood Saga was being announced, and actually was hinted at in the previous release as well, with some footsteps leading up to Bangar's office, suggesting that this creature has been talking to Bangar for a while. Maybe this is like Jormag's messenger or something like that. It's very creepy. We're about to see it in the trailer. And there you go. So that's the screenshots. That's the release page. And then once again, another advertisement for the fact you can get 2 expansions for the price of 1 at the moment. Or forevermore, I guess. All right, so let's get on in the trailer and see what we think and do a bit of an analysis. So first of all, I'll let you guys watch it in full without me yabbering on the background, and then we'll run through it. Enjoy.
Commander, I need your help here. At Jorah's keep.
The gate's open.
And no one here to greet us.
No. What happened? need to fix this.
Voice. The one in the back of my head.
You hear it too, don't you?
You can't trust them. I can protect you.
All right, there you go. I love the new splash that they're adding to the end here, where they actually give us the name with a weird like animation. Then you get the Guild Wars 2 icon afterwards, and then afterwards they actually end with the original announcement Icebrood Saga thing that we're seeing here. But yeah, okay, so there's a lot to get through here. First, let's talk a little bit about the dialogue before I forget what they talk about. So in the early stages of the trailer here, we are hearing a woman's voice saying, "Commander, I need you, come to the fort," or whatever. We go there and we find that everyone's dead. These will be the very earliest moments of the patch, so don't consider yourself majorly spoiled or anything here, guys. The devs wouldn't have it in the trailer if they didn't feel that it, it didn't tamper with the actual episode itself. But I believe that might be Almora's voice, this opening voice saying, "Commander, I need you," but it sounds a bit warped, a bit twisted, and when we get there we see everyone's dead, so I don't know, that doesn't seem too good to me. It really doesn't. Then later in the trailer, where we get back to the dialogue, we get that creepy whispering voice saying it will protect us. Again, returning to this idea that Jormag is trying to manipulate us like it manipulated Bangar into thinking there's safety with it. The question is, safety from what? The other Elder Dragons? Something else? And again, I believe still, as I have since they announced this, that there'll probably be a lot of deep sea dragon stuff in this saga, and hopefully maybe we'll see that rise even here in episode 1 or episode 2, because we need to know what Jormag is trying to protect us from. Just the cold itself? Protect us from itself? Well, that doesn't make too much sense. I also like how you hear the characters talking about how they hear it in their heads. We've got Bram talking about hearing the voice in his head. Was that Marjorie as well? The thing is, right, we kind of went through this with Heart of Thorns, but it was only the Sylvari that had voices in their heads and were being whispered to and being tempted. Now it feels like everyone, regardless of race, is experiencing that, and it would be cool to see a character like Kanak talk about their experiences back then a few years ago with their experiences now, and everyone else being brought into the fold and who's actually strong enough to defend themselves. I think that's kind of cool. It would be able to put the Sylvari, for one of those rare occasions, in the more experienced position. Usually the Sylvari are the more naive ones, the ones who have less to talk about and understand, but here they would actually have a leg up and something to offer all the other races. Kanak's really the only prominent Sylvari in the story right now, so that's why I say him, but maybe we'll see something with Kaith, and maybe we'll see something with some of the other guys if they come back forwards. So yeah, let's go through the actual trailer now, the frames that we'll be looking at, and see what we've got. So we open up first of all with the ArenaNet splash, then the Icebrood Saga logo, which looks pretty clean and good. We get a shot, presumably the Piora marches. Another shot here. This is of a Raven as well, which has got some kind of light. So I like this idea of a snowy, dark, stormy environment, but these lights piercing through and allowing us to see, and just that sense of hope that the spirits of Wild are watching over us and trying to help us, even in all this misery. And that makes me think of, the Norn's original flight south, which we missed between the two games. And it's all pretty exciting. Get a shot of the keep, another one. This is basically the screenshot we looked at before, except obviously in trailer mode. Bram moving in, and who's this behind Bram right now? I'm not actually sure. Is this the player character, maybe? Is this a new stand-in for the player character for this season? They've gone with a female this time. And so, yeah, we kind of step in, see all the bodies. We get Bureau Marches, confirmed as the new map, and a couple of shots of it. A nice ice cave here. Now, this ice cave with these, shades and ghosts, I can't remember. Was Bureau Marches the Guild Wars 1 map where we had the rabbit cave, or was that a different place? I think that was Jakar Lake, actually. There wasn't really much going on at Bureau Marches, but hey, we'll see. You got the Raven attunement, you got the statue, you got the it's lit up, and also some ghosts of other renowned Norn, including a couple of wolves here. So I wonder what stories we'll get there. To actually be able to speak with the ancient legends and converse with them would be kind of nice. One thing I want more of for the Norn is Askia's story and stuff about that original flight, and hopefully this will be a way for the devs to implement more of that, the contemporary Norn interacting with the old ones. They hold the legends and stories of their ancestors and forebears in such great reverence. It's really important for a patch to be able to dive into that more, and by using their ghosts, I think that works. We got the Raven attunement, and another shot of the statue. We've got the essence manipulation, so check this out. This is player character, presumably. This is just a random son of Svanir. And we seem to like use a beam. So that was a green beam. This one's a blue beam. This one's a red beam. Now, how is that working? Is that a special action? It can't be 3 special actions at once. Is it a special action that we can like right click and change? Actually, in other areas of the trailer, we see little red orbs. So maybe it's collecting a red orb gives you the red beam. I like the look of all this, right? I think the animation's nice. I like the idea of having specific weaknesses in enemies. The one thing that does concern me a little bit, though, is that this will somehow usurp the combat system again. ArenaNet have a tendency to add a new toy or something like this, and then it's so strong, most of the game is just using that. And the fact I've got good gear or I've thought of an interesting build or whatever takes a back seat to just the happy new little toy I've got here. Hopefully it's not that dominating, but we'll see. And we'll also see how much I get to use this, not just in episode 1, but as the whole saga goes along. You know, we're getting this right at the start. We're getting 2 masteries at the start. Is that because they want to tap into loads of stuff as we go forward? I guess we'll see. Anyway, that was a nice dark forest there as well. Here we see the new weapon set, Ancient Boreal. So they do something quite flashy here. Looks like a big map here, by the way, as well. And what is this? Is this a mushroom back here? This is the tarnished version, the broken version. And as we stand, it transforms. And now we have the upgraded, which, you know, has got these nice brown woods, a bit of blue on there, and kind of the ivory looking white. Here we've got the strike missions. So this is quite interesting. I thought this creature, this character, was going to be a really important story boss or like enemy, nemesis, stand-in for Jormag for a while kind of thing that would go through multiple episodes. I thought it would be a unique one of its kind. A little bit like, say, how Blightghast, the Plaguebringer, becomes like our mini-villain in the middle of the Zhaitan arc. Or kind of how in Heart of Thorns they had, you know, the champions of Mordramoth that we were supposed to get to know and then eventually destroy in Dragon's Stand. Or maybe how, well, I guess Balthazar never really had much of a stand-in, but he didn't need one because he was intelligent and he could speak and stuff. Anyway, that's what I thought this was going to be. Now it looks like the Wendigo creature is just going to be a strike mission boss. I say that, but if you remember the existing strike mission, we go to that area of the world in the story and then we return and fight it again. So I do think this will be a big part of the story. I just think it might be dead by the end of episode 1, right? Maybe it won't be dead. Maybe it'll be a bit like Kadim and we fight it and it escapes and then we fight it in episode 2 and then it escapes and we fight in episode 3. So maybe I can have my cake and eat it too. Maybe we can do this as a strike mission and have it as a persistent story boss. We'll see. Anyway, it sort of screams. Next one is the Twin Kodan. There's actually some interesting stuff going on back here. I think that's a Char player character with an ascended generic weapon. And then some kind of orb or something. Anyway, these guys both have hammers and they're dodging around and doing stuff together. Oh, no, I think one of them had a bow. And then finally, the third one is this guy, who we've already fought, but is now in a new arena. So what's up with that? Is this the tiered up version? We do know from data mining that this strike mission boss has a whole, like, bottom part of it. It's got legs and everything, which I think we're about to see in a second in the trailer. But so far, he's only been submerged in the game as of now. If you've been playing the prologue, he just stays down there. Maybe just a few new mechanics and we get it in a new room. And then does that mean that in episode 2 and 3, the Kodan bosses will have another room and another, you know, higher tier version? I guess we'll see. Anyway, so there you go. Those are the 3 strike mission bosses. Lots of players attacking them. We cut. We get back to the story. Another dark forest. I really like these shots. I feel like they know that the dark forest aesthetic from Snowblind and from Bitterfrost people like, and that they're going with more here. We've got some kind of corrupted Kodan, I think, here. Obviously, all the juicy lore and stuff is going on in the background. Creepy spirits drifting around. Do we trust ourselves? You remember from the release page, they had that comment about the only true voice is ours, or, you know, we need to trust ourselves. Here's the creature creeping through the trees. It's really ominous, really mysterious. Reminds me a lot of the episode 2 trailer from last season with Palawa Joko's stuff. And so now we cut to a big boss. Loads of chains. We obviously have seen a lot of chain mechanics, particularly with mounts and stuff, in the years recently. I wonder whether this will be some kind of big thing. We're actually chaining this thing up. But this creature walking around, I believe this is the monster we currently fight in the strike missions when it's not submerged. That's what I believe. But it's huge and it's beautiful and it's different to anything we fought before. It's massive. I think they're a little bit deceptive with the camera angle here. When our cameras are pointing at it, it might look a little bit smaller than it does here. But wow, what a cool looking thing. I hate this white flash when enemies get struck in Guild Wars, but hey, there you go. And he walks through, maybe destroying trees as he goes. And then we get this final shot of us alone in the fort with a sense that something's watching us, and we turn around to look. This is a cool turnaround animation as well, honestly. With the Raven in the top in the center, and we white out. Whisper in the dark. I can't wait to see what they do with the story here. You notice that there really wasn't much going on with Bang-R or suggestions with that. Obviously, the patch will have things like that. I'm interested in the length, the size of the map. I'm interested in so many things on this. November 19th. This is going to be great. So there you go, guys. That's when it all officially begins. Keep an eye out for some other videos in the roll-up to this. Hopefully, I'll get out. Maybe we can see a tour of the Bureau marches in Guild Wars 1 and stuff like that. But until then, let me know what you think. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you for the next one very soon. I'm super excited.